I mean, there's a lot of money coming in on Paul. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
So if Diaz beats him, it's going to be a good night for the sports books.
Yeah, just not my cup of tea. Let's just go with that on these ridiculous matchups. But hey, got a full sports book behind me because of it. So obviously, I'm not the target audience, as we know for this. All right, Tanner. Before we get into your 5 plays for Sunday in Major League Baseball, does anyone want to get the last wild card in the National League at this point?
I don't know. It doesn't seem like a lot of teams want to get the wild card in either league, honestly. Every time teams have an opportunity to do something when they're in that wild card like cusp spot, they don't seem to step up. So it's really interesting to see. I go back to the Red Sox too. I know we're talking National League, but I was at the Red Sox game last night against the Blue Jays, and the Red Sox had a prime chance to take over that wild card spot. And they said, "Hey, no, Toronto, you guys take it. We don't want it." So I think we're seeing that in both leagues right now.
Yeah, just the NL race. I mean, the Cubs, who were for dead, are a game out. The Padres are within 3 games. This all amounts to San Diego just messing around for 120 games, and the last 40, they're going to end up with wild card number 2 even. They might not even end up with the last wild card. So I think that's what's all coming in the NL at this point. AL, Blue Jays 2.5 clear of Seattle right now for the final wild card in the AL. All right, 2 your plays for Sunday. Let's start in the Bay Area. I don't get this 2-game series nonsense with the Giants and the A's. The A's actually beat the Giants 2-1 on Saturday. San Francisco is just struggling to score runs, Tanner. They are struggling to score runs over the last few weeks. But they are a minus 205 favorite against the A's. Alex Cobb, Luis Medina, minus 205. You're looking the run line here with San Fran.
You really have to, just because of the juice overall. I'm not willing to lay 205 for a money line bet for the Giants right now against the Athletics, but I'll take minus 1.5 at minus 110. Listen, the bottom line here, the Giants are a better team. So even though they're struggling right now, I still see them stepping up and finding a way to win this game by 2 runs on Sunday. It's not going to be by 6 runs. It's not going to be by 7 runs, as we see consistently against the A's, but I do like the Giants to get the job done here. Alex Cobb's on the mound for them. He's got an ERA right around 3. He hasn't been perfect, but the one thing that he does exceptionally well is limit walks and limit home runs. And if you give the Athletics extra chances, that's when they have a chance to beat you. If you don't, they're not that good. So Luis Medina is going to pitch for Oakland. Again, he's been okay. He's been much better at home than on the road, but walks are his issue. I don't expect the Giants to win by a lot, as I said. I think Luis Medina is going to be decent tomorrow. It's going to take a late rally by the Giants to get this game for a cover, but I do like them to do it, especially when you just look at the offense overall. The Giants have scored 100 more runs than the Oakland A's this season, so they have the talent to do it.
Let's go to Arlington next. Game 1 of the series between the Marlins and the Rangers. Nice sneak under, 8.5. Good. Today, 9-8. Not quite an under. Final game of this series, Rangers going for the sweep. Alcantara and Heaney. 8.5's the total here, Tanner. Man, Sandy just has not been the same dude he was a year ago, obviously. And Miami, again, they are doing everything in their power to miss the playoffs yet again, even with all the good things they did in the first half.
Oh, 100%. And Sandy's actually starting to get back on track a little bit, but I don't love him in this spot. I'm going to take the over of 8.5. I don't love any pitcher in this game, quite frankly. When you look at the Marlins did win 9-8 today in a thriller. That was 17 runs. I don't think we see 17 on Sunday, but I think we see a good amount. When we look at Sandy Alcantara, has really struggled on the road compared to being at home. Teams are hitting 265 off him as a visitor this year compared to 232 at home. And then Andrew Heaney for the Rangers, he's been pretty bad in the last month. He's got a 5.18 ERA in his past 4 starts. He's also been much worse at home, which is very surprising. We don't see that a lot out of pitchers. We usually see them struggle on the road and be better at home. When it comes to the offenses, the Rangers lead the league in runs scored by over 20. Over the Dodgers, and the Marlins have one of the most improved offenses in baseball from this year to last. So with 2 shaky pitchers and 2 offenses that have a lot of pop, we saw that today with the 17 runs. I'm going to play the over of 8.5. I think this game gets over pretty easily and pretty early without much of a sweat.
Let's go to the Braves and the Cubs next. Rubber match. Cubs amazingly 1 game out of a playoff spot. I was ready for them to sell everyone, and they obviously have not. because they are squarely in the mix. Morden and Steele, Braves a -125 favorite in this one. We don't have any totals because we know the deal with Wrigley and the wind.
Yeah, so I would stay away from totals in general when we even see them here. I just like the Braves on the money line against the Cubs. Justin Steele, we talk about the infamous Justin Steele, right? A lot better earlier in the year than what we're getting now. He hasn't been that good. Over his past 4 starts, opponents are batting .287 off him. He's gotten very lucky, though, because his ERA is under a 3 in these 4 starts, which is very surprising. So the Justin Steele that we knew earlier in the season, you're not getting that right now, and don't think you're getting that if you're betting on the Cubs. The Braves, for a very fair price on the money line of -125, is always worth taking, in my opinion, just because of how explosive they are on offense. The Cubs are offensive scrubs, and the Braves just outdo them in pretty much every facet of offense, especially when it comes to home runs. Atlanta's hit 209 homers, more homers this season than the Cubs, or 209 homers compared to the Cubs with 132. And I think Steele, he's going to struggle here. He's only given up 8 home runs this season, but 4 of those home runs allowed have come in his past 4 games. So obviously there's something not clicking for him right now as a pitcher. The Cubs won today. I do think their luck runs out tomorrow, though, for a short favorite price. Again, anytime I get the Atlanta Braves at -125, I always have to consider them. It doesn't matter what the pitching matchup is, just because they are so good on offense.
Tanner, let's go to the Bronx next. Yankees and Astros, final game of that series. Yankees have taken 2 out of the first 3 in this one. Rodon, Icardi, the pitching matchup here. Astros and Yankees. Yankees are -115 favorites, so the Astros have taken a little bit of money over the last few hours.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if you get the Astros at plus money, like we saw earlier in the night, people are going to grab that. There were a few things that happened really interesting in Major League Baseball. A few interesting things that happened. You know, we saw Jose Ramirez knock out Tim Anderson, but that kind of overshadowed what we saw in the Yankee game earlier today. We saw Giancarlo Stanton jogging from second to home on a single. And then Booney in the press conference is like trying to defend him, saying, yeah, you know, in some situations he's just not that fast. I mean, this Yankees team's an absolute joke. And I know they won today, but they won because of a Jake Bauers home run. And Jake Bauers is striking out 36% of the time. So the odds that happens again, slim to none. The Giancarlo Stanton thing just didn't sit well with me. It's not a team that I want to bet on. This team has absolutely no fight. I am a Red Sox fan, so I'm enjoying digging into them a little bit. But the Giancarlo Stanton thing was an absolute joke. Jose Urquidy is going to make his return for the Astros since the beginning of April because of a shoulder problem. He was not good in April when he was pitching for the Astros, but he's probably better than Carlos Rodon, right? Rodon hasn't given me any faith in betting on him. He's 1-4 this season with a 6.29 and a 1.48 whip. He's got 24 innings on the mound. He's walked 16 batters in that time, and he has allowed 6 home runs. He's only got 1 really decent start against the New York Mets, and the Mets, you know, went from the best thing since sliced bread to one of the worst teams in baseball. So I just can't trust Rodon in this spot. The Astros have the better offense. Rodon's just flirting with my no bet list right now, quite frankly. So Astros for plus money. I grabbed it earlier in the night, and I still like it for -105.
Well, you didn't enjoy Giancarlo going at about 5 miles an hour around third base earlier today. You are right. That completely forgotten now because of Cleveland Brawl City earlier tonight with Jose Ramirez getting the knockout of Tim Anderson earlier in the day. All right, last one. Total in Detroit. Rays and Tigers sitting at 8.5.
Yeah, so the Rays offense has shown a lot more life lately rather than the first week after the All-Star break. However, the decline is still very apparent. Before the All-Star break, they were hitting .259 with a .331 OBP. After the All-Star break, right now they're hitting .232 with a .307 OBP. So this isn't going to cut it for the Rays, especially if they want to make a deep playoff run. The Tigers offense isn't loaded with talent right now. They don't have a 300 OBP as a team for the entire year. That's kind of my benchmark, how decent you are as an offense. If you don't go over 300 as a team for your OBP, you got issues. And since the All-Star break, they only have a .289 OBP. So neither team is hitting the ball that well, and there's going to be 2 legit arms on the mound here. Tyler Glasnow for the Rays, 96 strikeouts in 68 innings. And then you look at Matt Manning for the Tigers. He's been very good as well. Opponents are batting just 167 off him in 3 starts at home this season. So going to lean on the under of 8.5.
He's Tanner Kern on the tweets at Tanner Kern _ You can find his work over at DraftKings. Tanner, pleasure as always, man. We'll catch up again next week.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jeff. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Coming up next, the SGP.